Good morning, everyone. And Kathy, I'm here today to thank you and to thank everybody else involved. Um, so, first of all, Dennis, thank you also, sir, for being here. Thank you, and all of you. And I see some familiar faces that I've gone to see over different events and ceremonies. Let me just make this personal. First of all, I've known Ed Cruikshank, Colonel Cruikshank, since we were young men during the 1960s at the University of Hawaii. So I had this long history with him and certainly knew of everything he had done. And when he came to me, after I became mayor, which was 5 years ago, and informed me that there was a thing called Purple Heart Cities, which forgive me for not knowing that, having been here in Hawaii pretty much, and that Hawaii was not one. It was like unbelievable to me. So the very fact that we were able to make this happen is something I'm extraordinarily proud of and grateful to have the opportunity during our time in office to bring this to fruition. You would think that we, instead of, I don't know if we're the last city, maybe won't be the last, but Hawaii should have been the first city. When you start talking about the most decorated outfit in the history and what's happened, just as the history that Kathy told us on the 100th Battalion, Infantry Battalion, and the 442, and the heroism that's always been long talked about. So, look, for me, I'll tell you why it's deeply personal too, because I was born right after World War II. My father was born in 1923, grew up as a kid, oldest son of an immigrant family, and at 7 years old was shining shoes in the streets of Boston. And at 18, in 1941, he joined the Navy in December. He was in the war for the entire time, came home in October of 45, and I was born 10 months later. Good Catholic family. That said, since Kathy mentioned my Italian reference, I grew up in a big Italian family. Boston was like that at the time that I was growing up in the 40s and 50s. And all of my uncles, I had a lot of uncles. My mother was the youngest of 9. My father was the oldest of 7. All those men fought in World War II. And while they never talked about their heroics, we grew up with that whole thing and how impressionable that was on them, all as young men, and how proud they were at what they were able to do and the sacrifices they made. And that really created an incredible impression upon me growing up. And so I've always had a real respect and reverence for our military, but even more so, people who were injured in the line of duty, people who sacrificed their lives, and that kind of bravery and that kind of courage, knowing how rare that is, and yet common at the same time among those who serve. So having the opportunity to make our city a Purple Heart City, for me, is almost some kind of poetry.